fix process when it comes to execution.
Wow. Well, it seems so simple, right? And we don't even know. I mean, how can we see within our own organizations the kind of clutter that we've created and the excess drain on our time that these things take? Or do we really need somebody from the outside to help us get that perspective?
Well, it's always easier from the outside. That's why new employees often see things that everyone else doesn't. And it's important for you to ask them. I mean, like, let's get down to very specific. They've been there for 30 days. You really need to go formally ask them, all right, what are we doing that you think is dumb? And they don't want to say anything because they just want to get along, because they're new to the company. But if you'll actually ask them, they'll say, well, I don't know why you guys do it this way. At my previous company, it was a lot easier. And there's the key word, by the way, for both the customer and the employee. In general, what you want to be focused on is the easy button. That's what they do at Amazon. Every week they obsess around one thing. What do we have to do to make it even easier for people to get what it is they want? And so if you'll just say, all right, what's not easy for our customers, navigate the website, order from us, whatever it is, and what's not easy for the employees to do, as long as you'll fix those things every week, compound interest is your friend. So that's the key question.
Got it. Wow. Fantastic advice. And let's get to what I would consider the most important thing that everybody must feel burdened by at this time, which is cash.
You bet. And there, let me, as we've talked before, I recommend about 40 different books in my book because I don't have all the answers. This is when I really have people read John Mullen's book, the London Business School professor, entrepreneur turned professor, in his book called The Customer Funded Business. The best place to get immediate cash is from your existing customers. And even that's what we're doing with this new venture. We have found the customer that we're partnering with that's going to put up kind of $500,000, both in kind and cash, in order to spin up this new product line that we want to be involved with. And that's the old way we used to fund even tech companies, was through the customer funding it. And very specifically, we're getting companies focused around, Christine, pricing. If there is something that everyone gets continuously wrong, and in fact, there's only two mistakes we make in pricing. We either charge too much or we charge too little. And the reason we get it wrong is because we're selling to people. Even a business-to-business environment, you don't sell to companies, you sell to people. The reason we get price wrong, because people are not logical, they're psychological. And so I want to give a very specific recommendation. My good friend Herman Simon is the pricing guru in the world. His company does about $400 million in pricing consultancy globally every year. But he wrote a book on pricing, and the last crisis, the last 2008 to 10 recession, he wrote a little book called Beat the Crisis. You can get it off a Kindle. It'll cost you probably $10. And I want you to go to chapter 6. I want all your listeners to go to chapter 6. And he outlines 7 pricing strategies that you can use in a crisis like this to really drive both profitability and cash. So I think really focus on the customers that have money, as Dan and Mike are doing with Blue Canary, and get better and more clever with pricing. One last recommendation, about a year and a half ago in Harvard Business Review, and you can, again, Google it, or you can put it up where people can download it, Christine, on your site. There was an article called Good, Better, Best Pricing. We've done it with our virtual summits, 95, 295, and 995. And it's crazy. When you give customers, even a business-to-business environment, 3 pricing options instead of just 1. In Dell EMC's case, and it's featured at the very end of the article, their revenue only increased 300%. And so getting better at pricing strategies, both retail and business to business, is the quickest way to cash flow and profitability.
What about the other side of the income statement, the bottom half? Do you look at that in these times?
I mean, in terms of,
Expenses, overhead, cost of goods, all the things that we might not again have the perspective to see where money's leaking out, right? The holes in the ship.
yeah, well, so it was an idea we got from Sam Goodner when he was running his Microsoft solution provider firm out of Boston. And once a year, he would sit down as CEO and look at particularly all recurring expenses within the company. And I think you see it both personally and professionally. These recurring charges sneak in on your Amex bill and the like. And so we did that at the very beginning of the crisis. And we found about, it wasn't a lot, but about 8,000 a month that we were able to clean out. And that's real money that you can save within the company. So you're absolutely right. And get all hands on deck, scouring through what are useless expenses that have creeped in to the business. But even though we need this focus on cost, I think we often do it at the expense of spending no time on the price side. And that's my point. If you can add $1 to the price, if your profitability is only 10%, you got to add $10 in revenue to make up for just that extra dollar that'll go to the bottom line through just smarter pricing strategy. So that's where I want folks to make sure they don't neglect that side.
So what I love about this conversation is that nowhere have you said, go out and get more clients, right? Everybody thinks they have a lead generation problem when in fact, pricing is something you can do without costing, and also looking at costs can have put money back in your pocket. Do you find that to be a misconception that people have, that their job is to go out and get more?
Yeah, particularly, and it's a term we use in the cash section of the book, Scaling Up. A lot of companies don't realize it, but they're growing broke. That if they actually add more clients, it's going to get worse. And if you don't get your business model right first, then all you're going to do is pour fuel on a ragingly worse fire. So yeah, it's important to get this right first.
So in terms of these things, is there an order to them in terms of how we would help, people right now immobilized by, the situation that's in front of them?
Well, I would encourage them to go out. It's free. Go to scalingforward.com. We outline these kind of 4 Ps of people, pivot, process, and price. And we've got some tools there and some case studies. And then as we shared, I think on the last episode, it's a lot like a Sudoku puzzle or crossword puzzle. You pick around at it. There isn't anything really sequential with our work any more than learning a language is sequential. And that was my really first aha. It was John Kone who helped build Dell Learning for Michael Dell, that was our coach when we were developing our executive education programs. And he said, look, no child learns a language by saying you can't learn letter B till you learn letter A. And at the time, my son was 3, and T was his favorite letter because of Thomas the Train. And so I think a lot of it's to go where your instincts tell you. I think you can trust your gut, and where your interests are, and then just pick around at it. It's much faster that way than if you try to be sequential. And so language, again, is our guide.
Well, that's incredible and so accessible, Verne. And you're giving away so much value, so much wisdom, and so many tools that we can all put to use immediately. I, again, urge everyone listening to this call, get the book, Scaling Up. Go to scalingforward.com. Your business needs it. Your employees need it. Your families need it. Your communities need it. We have an opportunity here. And Verne, you have given us so much to work with today. It's really incredible.
Well, Christine, it wouldn't do any good if you didn't have the kind of reach that you do with your audience. So thank you for being willing to share these ideas.
Well, so grateful. And is there any last words you'd like to share as we sign off?
You know what? Be ambitious, count your blessings, be grateful, meditate every day to keep yourself calm, and don't do it alone. It really is lonely at the top. And when I launched EO, it was a friend of mine, Joe Mancuso, who said, it's okay to be independent, but no reason to be alone. And I had hosted this first public speech for Steve Jobs after he was fired from Apple. And after the speech, we had a party, and he's literally standing alone by himself in the corner. And I realized that there needed to be an organization for this lonely person. And thus EO was launched. So whatever, don't do this thing alone, and get lots of talk time with people.
Fantastic. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody, just do what we've said. Follow this great advice. Thank you for being here today.
You bet. Christine, thank you so much.